The governor of Israel's central bank, Governor Amir Yaron, says he's confident the world will still want to do business with Israel. He was joining me here in Davos more than 100 days into Israel's war with Hamas.
Prior to the war, we were on a super softish landing. Inflation was coming down probably in the first quarter into the target, with growth around 3.4% for 23 and slightly above 3 for 24. Now, after the war, we're expecting 2% and 2% in 23 and 24, and going to 5% in 25. But this is under the scenario where the war is primarily confined to the south, and its intensity sort of gradually goes down into the first quarter of 24.
Right, but all bets are off, I suppose, on those forecasts in the event of an expansion in the north.
I think an expansion in the north brings about, obviously, much bigger costs, and it's a different ball game. I would say one thing on the fiscal part, which is, the war is costly. Our estimates right now, it's about 10% direct, 10% of GDP direct cost, another 2% in terms of lost revenue over the years of 23-25. And I'm glad to say, and this is very important, we just had a national budget done for 2024, and significant fiscal consolidation steps were done against particularly the permanent component consolidation on the order of 1% of GDP.
Are you, in the back of your mind, factoring in, even if it's not a document, somewhere the cost that Israel, however this plays out, may wish to or may want to pay or help pay for the rebuilding in Gaza?
I don't think we have that in those fiscal costs. I think the day after is a big question. Hopefully there'll be a mechanism that brings about, or some political arrangement that brings about both security to Israel, but security in Gaza, a mechanism that is an umbrella with other entities, moderate states.
As the criticism against Israel grows, is there a concern that it will become more difficult for your companies to trade? I don't mean stock market, to do business. I use, when I say the word pariah, people just won't want to be associated with Israel technology. The startup nation will have ground to a halt.
It's a good question, but I think, first of all, people have to understand this is probably a temporary event to some extent. First. Second, people understand Israel has grown out of military crisis and out of COVID immensely, and have shown its resilient and its dynamic economy. Third, Israel's products, whether in security, whether in high tech, have huge know-how. They're highly desirable. People understand it. They'll be there with our high-tech firms.
It is a bit weird, isn't it? Sort of we're putting it into these dispassionate terms when there's a real hot war going on. Did you find that in your daily business, that whichever side you look at it, we're talking about it in a way that is quite removed from the reality?
Well, first of all, let me say it's heartbreaking to see any innocent citizens on both sides killed or injured. That's first of all. People, when you talk about Israel's economy, I want to remind people, Israel did not initiate this. This was a barbaric terror attack on Israel. Israel has the right to defend itself. Clearly, the U.S. defended itself far away from its border. This is 200 meters from villages where Israelis live, so security is essential. It's needed. Again, it's heartbreaking to see citizens getting hurt, but we have to understand also Hamas is cynically using citizens as body shields, mosques, hospitals, etc.